haunted by the unseen. They laughed as I stood at the threshold of my childhood home, their mocking voices still echoing in my ears like a taunting chorus from an old nightmare. "She's lost it," they'd say, fingers pointed and laughter shared over dinner tables and family gatherings. "Can you believe this nonsense about pests whispering secrets? A psychic pest inspector, really?" But that was before the world learned what I had uncovered, before I became the subject of hushed conversations in darkened rooms. Now, I stood not as the disgrace they'd branded me, but as a harbinger of warnings they'd wish they'd heeded. I took a breath, the familiar scent of old wood and dust filling my lungs, and stepped inside. The echoes of laughter faded, replaced by an uneasy silence as my family turned to face me. Their expressions twisted from a half-hearted warmth to horror as they became acquainted with the shadows haunting the depths of my eyes. "Claire?" My mother's voice cracked, like dry leaves underfoot. Behind her, my brother scoffed, arms crossed, but I could see the fear buried beneath layers of skepticism. "I'm back," I said softly, forcing the words between the pressure in my chest. "And I need to show you something. Can't you just go back to your whatever it is?" My brother spat the last word as if he might choke on it. "This isn't a horror movie, sis. You're not a Ghostbuster." "No," I replied, a chill creeping into my tone. "I'm here to show you reality, the reality you chose to laugh off." I walked to the center of the room, where the remnants of family photographs hung crookedly on the walls, a bittersweet testament to a time I almost wanted to forget. My heart thumped in time with their labored breaths. I could feel the weight of my knowledge pressing against the fabric of their disbelief. "Look!" I shouted, frustration cracking my voice. "You have no idea what's out there. I've seen things you can't imagine. Things that twist your understanding of life itself." I hesitated, scanning their faces for any hint of understanding. And when I found none, I pressed on. After I lost my job, after the city turned on me for believing in the invisible horrors beneath our streets, I dove headfirst into a world you would never dream of. I discovered parasites, sentient, ancient forces that manipulate hosts in ways you can't see, can't perceive. They're everywhere, feeding on our ignorance, our scorn. "What are you talking about?" My sister's voice was tight, eyes darting to the corners of the room as if expecting something to leap out. I took a step closer, lowering my voice to a whisper, like it might shield us from whatever lurked just beyond our understanding. "I'm going to show you, but you have to trust me." Of course, they didn't trust me. They couldn't, not after years of ridicule. Years of belittling my passion for urban parasitology. Yet something dark was rippling beneath the surface of our home, something I had learned to recognize in the depths of my studies. And with a flick of my wrist, I summoned it forth. In an instant, the air thickened, and a low hum vibrated through the room. My family's faces drained of color. The shadows in the corners of the room began to dance, contorting, shifting, multiplying. I watched with a cold thrill as the entities I had come to know spiraled into existence. Their forms wriggling like grotesque marionettes, birthed from the very fabric of our shared space. What is happening?" My mother's voice trembled, and I felt a flicker of satisfaction mixed with dread. This was the moment, the inevitable reckoning. They're here because they feed on your disbelief, on your scorn. They thrive in the darkness you've nurtured. I paused, the weight of my past heavy on my shoulders, but I stood firm. "You will see what I've seen. You will hear the whispers of the hidden world that surrounds us." As my family recoiled, The shapes morphed into grotesque reflections of their own fears, the doubts they had cast my way coiling around them like serpents. They gasped as the creature that resembled my brother stepped forward, a twisted mirror of his own arrogance, its mouth stretched into a mocking grin. "Claire, stop this!" my sister shrieked, her voice trembling as the shadows slithered closer, crawling over her skin like a swarm of spiders. "It's too late," I whispered, my heart swelling with a mix of vindication and sorrow. "You taught me that the unseen was nothing to fear. You turned your back on my warnings, but now it's your turn to face what you didn't believe." The shadows surged forth, a whirlwind of nightmares unleashed into the room. I stepped back, letting my family absorb the weight of their ignorance. The wails and cries filled the air, a cacophony of their collective disbelief crashing down around them, until I could hardly distinguish their voices from the howling of the entities they had once scorned. And in that moment, as the realization set in, I felt a final pang of regret. They were my family, and yet they had turned their love into ridicule, their laughter into scorn, an unforgivable betrayal that had chained me in the depths of despair. Now they were ensnared by the very horrors I had warned them about. As the shadows began to recede, I turned to the door, my heart heavy yet resolute. It was time to leave them with the lesson they had shunned for too long. I paused at the threshold, glancing back at the disarray left in their wake, the shadows retreating into the darkness, licking the edges of their terrified gazes. "Remember this," I said, my voice still echoing in my ears. "Your disbelief has brought this upon you. I am no longer the disgrace you once mocked. I am the keeper of the truth you've ignored." And with that, I stepped into the night, leaving behind the echoes of their fear to mingle with the truth I could now never forget. In the shadows, the world waited, whispering its secrets to those brave enough to listen, while the rest would continue to live in the dark.